So this is an armoured transport vehicle. It's a Russian one. And it's been obliterated by the Ukrainians. So everyone inside would have been killed. You can see some of their boots. We're Vans Without Borders, a humanitarian group of lads who decided to jump in transit vans and come here to Ukraine to deliver vital aid to those in need. So I'm Jack, and this is Fenton. We've got Justin, we've got Darren, we've got Henry, we've got Paul, we've got Steve, we've got Ryan, we've got an international, we've got Johnny from America.
Hello.
And we've got Chris from Germany.
Guten Tag.
So I'm currently on an army base in Kiev, as Obolon Legion has very kindly agreed to look after us. Obolon Legion is a territorial defence group which is responsible for running checkpoints and other missions within the Kiev area. But they've also very kindly agreed to provide us an armed escort for when we travel around the country to reach desperate communities, as unfortunately cases of robbery or even bandits have been known since we were here a month ago. So that's great, as it means the goods can be kept safe and we can ensure that they can actually reach the people who desperately need them.
Spinal.
As we were crossing into Ukraine from Poland, there was a long queue, so we got out our vans and we were just chilling by the rear vehicle. And all of a sudden we heard a screech and saw a van hurtling at us. Not sure why, and it collided with a van, one car behind us, there's two vehicles behind us, and it just completely devastated that van, destroyed a van full of aid, and that's ultimately what saved our van, because it was that far away from hitting our rear vehicle, because the rear vehicle full of aid was so heavy, it managed to take the brunt of the impact. But then after we recovered and we realised it wasn't going to explode, we ran over as everyone was sort of gawping and not doing anything, and managed to provide emergency first aid to one of the passengers who was actually trapped under the dashboard. And we attempted to jack up the dashboard, which we weren't able to get off her, and she was sort of crying and screaming that her neck was in pain. It was quite tough to see and really set the tone for coming back to a war zone. We're not sure why that vehicle crashed into them. Might have been a bit of drink driving, might have just been heat exhaustion, but it was no brakes were applied, and that van hit that rear vehicle, must have been about 50-60 miles an hour into stationary traffic. Just heartbreaking from the start, really. So we're on our way to Chernihiv, which is about a 4-hour drive from Kiev. It should really only be 2 hours, but due to the state of the roads, it takes a little bit longer. This means that most international aid organisations won't make the effort to come up and see them, leaving thousands of people in poverty. And Chernihiv wasn't a particularly wealthy region before the war, but when the Russians came here via Belarus, it's only 20 kilometres from the Belarusian border, they had a scorched earth policy, so they destroyed all their infrastructure, so that there is literally nothing. While Bucha and Irpin have had their electric and water restored, Chernihiv is still completely cut off. So we'll be bringing supplies to around 500 desperate families. So you can see here the locals picking through the...
Hopana.
Fair play. Picking through bits of the wreckage.
Actually, it was a kind of a horror here. It was on fire and flaming because not only gas petrol was flaming, but all this arming that was inside of those cars, it was unbearable.
So you can see here what looks like leaves. It's not leaves, it's a massive pile of spent ammunition.
Went out into the yard and we saw that the whole part of the street was in flame, and this neighboring house, it was a two-story building. It was actually there was no building at all because everything was in flame, and for maybe not only for a couple of days, almost for 5 days, here there were a lot of flying big cars, lorries, trucks of Russian invaders, and they continued flaming a bit, and it was very scary too.
Дивіться, що вони не робили. Оце що робили?
Непонятно, що пішки.
Це що робили?
Все таке.
Що робили це вони? Оце.
Дирка, вон, видиш.
So the shell hit here?
Снаряд вискочив чи що?
So they're saying that the shell came through their house and it's gone through their
Далі.
cupboard and it is below us.
Сюди йди.
А вон дирка сквозная.
Дивіться, що там.
Oh wow, yeah.
Сквозная дирка.
So that's where the shell came through those holes, and it's in their house. Great. And they've also said that they were in this little bunker when this artillery shell hit it, but luckily it didn't explode. So there's this shell just buried in there.
We're in a Ukrainian village in Chernihiv region. This village, we first came for helping. No one arrived this village because bridge is bombing. We are first.
To carry it. Love their billboards in Ukraine with little fun posters. Here you got a Ukrainian soldier throwing out a little Nazi Putin. We've just been shown the basement where Bogdan's family lived, and basically when the Russians shelled the area, they hid in the basement, and the matriarch of the family, she told us she'd been having a go at her husband for years for digging it, wanted him to fill it in, but it actually saved their life, and they were down there, but unfortunately the house fell on top of them, so they had to communicate to other people in Bucha to come and rescue them. This is where they're currently living at the moment, because they haven't been able to rebuild their house at all, and then they eventually were freed. But their house is just destroyed, and actually they told us here are the remains of a dead Russian soldier who was injured, and they took him in to try and help him, but the Russians rocket attacked the house and killed him, unfortunately. So this is the basement the family was hiding in and still living at the moment. It's absolutely tiny, and there was 7 of them in here, including Bogdan with his wheelchair. They were under here for days before help was actually managed to get them out. Showing us a photo of her son Bogdan's shoulder after she had to drag him out of the basement when they were hiding from the Russians.
Це у нас все. Давайте щось подивимося. Люди приїхали, волонтери.
Добрий день. So you can see here where this was a local team football pitch in Bucha, and it's been heavily shelled. The stadium's been completely decimated by tanks and rockets, and it's been mortared. No particular reason why it was attacked. Again, no strategic benefit to attacking it. That's the Museum of Culture just behind. Again, completely decimated. Hundreds of years of history burnt to a crisp. For no other reason than to demoralise the local population and to try and wipe out any sense of Ukrainian spirit in them. And, you know, somewhere like this, that museum's irreparable, but say this local community pitch probably won't be repaired, if at all, for years, because they're not going to have the money to do it. Thank you very much to Southern NHS for sponsoring Bogdan's new wheelchair. His last wheelchair was severely damaged when his house was destroyed by Russians. So it's extremely important we got him this new bit of kit, and he's over the moon to have it. We've also got him a chess set, which he is extremely pleased to get, as he's the chess champion in the Bucha and Irpin region. Slava Ukraini! So you can see here where the Russians have confused this memorial, which is dedicated to Soviet soldiers who died in Afghanistan, with a real tank. So they've shelled around it trying to hit it, so their aim's not actually that great. The Ukrainians have put a flag on to sort of mock them a bit. But it's while they were attacking the building over here, they saw this memorial and panicked. So turned their fire on here. You can see where they've hit that tree trying to take it down. And our guides told us while they were attacking this, the Ukrainians counterattacked and killed quite a lot of the Russians who were trying to devastate the area. You can see where it's just being completely incinerated again. Only the brickwork remaining. Don't really want to tread around too much in here because it might still be explosives. But this was a territorial army barracks. It is quite nerve-wracking. With every step you don't know if it's still booby-trapped. It's clearly not been cleared out. So Vans Without Borders is teaming up today with Justin Ukraine Aid, and we're distributing food, chocolate, sweets and toys to the children of Irpin, people who have literally lost everything as a consequence of Russian aggression, and we're just trying to give them a sense of normality. So we put this festival on for them and everyone seems to be having a great time, and it's nice to, you know, return to seeing kids happy. It's fantastic. So we teamed up with Justin Ukraine Aid, who's very kindly sponsored this event today, giving out sweets, chocolates, toys to the children of Irpin. How are you feeling, Justin?
I feel really good, Jack. I feel really good. Look at the kids, look at the smiles, look at what we're doing here, and it's just fantastic. And all I can say is thank you so much to all the people in the UK who donated to Justin Ukraine Aid, because this is what we paid for. Thank you.
Давайте, що там, сучок, баночка.
Чи давай тобі з квіточкою? Хочеш з квіточкою? Давай з квіточкою.
Давай, все? Пішли тебе.
Бери як хочеш.
I think we keep this separate now.